This video contains audio content only. There are no visual elements or images accompanying the audio. If you're expecting to see video footage, please note that this is an intentional audio-only presentation. We recommend listening to this content rather than watching the screen. Thank you for your understanding and enjoy the audio. Welcome, food enthusiasts and cultural explorers. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Egusi soup, a culinary masterpiece that has captivated taste buds across West Africa and beyond. This isn't just any ordinary soup, it's a rich tapestry of flavors, traditions, and cultural significance that has been simmering in pots for generations. Egusi soup is more than just a meal, it's a window into the heart of West African cuisine, particularly Nigerian culinary traditions. It's a dish that tells the story of resourcefulness, community, and the incredible diversity of African gastronomy. From the bustling markets of Lagos to the quiet kitchens of rural villages, Egusi soup has been nourishing bodies and souls for centuries. But what exactly is Egusi? Where does it come from? And how has this humble seed transformed into a culinary icon that's now making waves on the global stage? These are just a few of the questions we'll be exploring in our journey today. We'll trace the path of Egusi from the fertile fields where it's grown to the vibrant pots where it's transformed into liquid gold. We'll uncover the secret techniques passed down through generations that give Egusi soup its distinctive taste and texture. We'll even peek into the science behind its impressive nutritional profile and discover why it's not just delicious, but also incredibly good for you. But Egusi soup is more than just food, it's a cultural phenomenon. We'll delve into its role in social gatherings, from everyday family meals to elaborate ceremonies. We'll explore how it has evolved as West African communities have spread across the globe, adapting to new ingredients and tastes while still maintaining its essential character. And for those of you who think you know Egusi soup, prepare to be surprised. We'll take a look at some innovative twists on this classic dish that are pushing the boundaries of traditional cuisine and creating exciting new flavor combinations. So whether you're a longtime Egusi aficionado or you've never heard of it before today, get ready for a flavorful journey that will tantalize your taste buds, challenge your perceptions, and leave you with a newfound appreciation for this extraordinary dish. Let's dive in. 1. Cultivation and processing of Egusi seeds, from plant to pantry. Our journey begins in the lush fields of West Africa, where the Egusi plant thrives under the hot sun. But don't be fooled, this isn't your average garden vegetable. The Egusi plant, scientifically known as Citrullus lanatus, is a member of the Cucurbitaceae family, which includes watermelons, cucumbers, and pumpkins. However, unlike its juicy cousins, it's not the flesh of the Egusi that's prized, but its seeds. Picture a field of sprawling vines, their large leaves creating a sea of green. Hidden beneath this canopy are fruits that look strikingly similar to watermelons. But crack one open, and instead of the sweet red flesh you might expect, you'll find a white, spongy interior filled with seeds. These seeds are the treasure that farmers are after. The cultivation of Egusi is a testament to the ingenuity of West African farmers. In many regions, it's grown as an intercrop with other staples like yams, cassava, or maize. This method not only maximizes land use but also helps control weeds and conserve soil moisture. The plants are typically sown at the beginning of the rainy season and require minimal care as they grow, making them an ideal crop for small-scale farmers. Harvesting Egusi is a communal affair that often brings entire villages together. When the fruits have ripened and their rinds have turned yellow, it's time for the harvest. The fruits are gathered and left to decompose for a few days, which makes it easier to extract the seeds. Then comes the messy but oddly satisfying part, cracking open the softened fruits and scooping out the seed-filled pulp. But the process doesn't end there. The seeds must be separated from the pulp, washed thoroughly, and then dried in the sun. This drying process is crucial. It not only preserves the seeds but also develops their nutty flavor. You'll often see courtyards and rooftops covered with Egusi seeds spread out on mats, soaking up the African sun. Once dry, the seeds can be stored for months, providing a valuable source of nutrition and income throughout the year. Some farmers take it a step further, removing the outer shell of the seed to reveal the cream-colored kernel inside. This process, known as dehulling, is often done by hand and requires considerable skill and patience. The journey of egusi from field to market is a fascinating one. In many West African countries, you'll find markets with enormous sacks of egusi seeds, their vendors calling out to potential customers. The seeds are sold in various forms, whole, dehulled, or even ground into a fine powder ready for cooking. But here's where it gets really interesting. The cultivation and processing of egusi isn't just about food, it's deeply intertwined with social and economic structures. In many communities, egusi cultivation is primarily women's work. From planting to processing, women are often the keepers of egusi knowledge, passing down techniques from mother to daughter. This has significant implications for gender dynamics and economic empowerment. The income from egusi sales often goes directly to women, providing them with financial independence and a stronger voice in household decisions. In some areas, there are even women's cooperatives centered around egusi production, fostering community ties and economic resilience. The egusi trade also plays a crucial role in local and regional economies. It's not uncommon for egusi to be used as a form of currency in some rural areas, with seeds being traded for other goods or services. The seed's long shelf life makes it a valuable commodity, especially in regions where banking infrastructure is limited. But like many traditional crops, egusi cultivation faces challenges in the modern world. Climate change is altering growing patterns, while the lure of city life is drawing younger generations away from farming. Yet, there's also a growing recognition of egusi's potential. Agricultural researchers are working on developing improved varieties with higher yields and better resistance to pests and diseases. There's even talk of egusi as a potential superfood for addressing global nutrition challenges. Its high protein and healthy fat content, combined with its adaptability to harsh growing conditions, make it an attractive option for sustainable agriculture initiatives. From the moment it's planted to the time it reaches your plate, egusi undergoes a remarkable journey. It's a journey that involves not just agricultural processes, but entire communities and economies. So the next time you taste egusi soup, remember, you're not just enjoying a meal, you're participating in a rich cultural and economic tradition that stretches back centuries. And that, my friends, is food for thought. 2. The cultural significance and origins of egusi soup in West African cuisine. Now that we've traced the journey of egusi from field to market, let's dive into the rich cultural tapestry that surrounds this beloved ingredient, particularly in its most famous form, egusi soup. Egusi soup is more than just a dish, it's a cultural icon, a symbol of home and heritage for millions across West Africa. Its origins are shrouded in the mists of time, with different regions and ethnic groups each claiming to be the true birthplace of this culinary masterpiece. But one thing is certain, egusi soup has been a staple of West African cuisine for centuries, evolving and adapting as it spread across the region. Legend has it that egusi soup was born out of necessity during times of scarcity. In a region where meat was often a luxury, resourceful cooks turned to the protein-rich egusi seeds to create a satisfying and nutritious meal. Over time, what started as a simple survival food transformed into a beloved delicacy, gracing the tables of both rural villages and urban households. In Nigeria, where egusi soup has reached near legendary status, it's often joked that you can tell a person's ethnic background by the way they prepare their egusi. The Yoruba people of southwestern Nigeria, for instance, often prepare a version called efo egusi, where the ground seeds are mixed with water to form a paste before being added to the soup. This creates a thick, creamy texture that's perfect for scooping up with a ball of pounded yam. The Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria, on the other hand, are known for their ofe egusi, where the ground seeds are sprinkled directly into the simmering soup, creating little dumplings or cakes of egusi as it cooks. This method results in a soup with a more varied texture, with soft egusi balls floating in a flavorful broth. But egusi soup isn't confined to Nigeria alone. In Ghana, a similar dish called agashi is popular, often prepared with spinach or other leafy greens. In Cameroon, nkui, is a type of egusi soup that's traditionally served to new mothers to help them recover after childbirth. The variations are endless, each telling a story of local tastes and traditions. What's particularly fascinating about egusi soup is how it reflects the biodiversity of West African cuisine. The soup is a perfect example of the region's leaf cuisine, where a wide variety of leafy greens are used in cooking. Depending on the region and season, egusi soup might contain bitter leaf, water leaf, pumpkin leaves, or even wild foraged greens. This not only adds depth to the flavor but also boosts the nutritional value of the dish. Egusi soup also demonstrates the West African culinary principle of building layers of flavor. The soup typically starts with a base of aromatic vegetables like onions and peppers, often fried in palm oil for a rich, smoky flavor. Then comes the egusi itself, followed by meat or fish, though vegetarian versions are also common, and finally the leafy greens. Each ingredient adds its own note to the symphony of flavors, creating a dish that's complex yet harmonious. But egusi soup is more than just sustenance, it's a social lubricant, a focal point for gatherings and celebrations. In many West African cultures, food is deeply communal, and egusi soup epitomizes this spirit. Picture a large pot of egusi soup at the center of a family gathering, surrounded by various swallows, starchy accompaniments like fufu, pounded yam, or gari that are used to scoop up the soup. As people reach into the communal pot, barriers break down and conversations flow. Egusi soup also plays a significant role in many traditional ceremonies. In some Nigerian cultures, it's a key part of wedding feasts, symbolizing fertility and abundance for the new couple. In other traditions, it's served during naming ceremonies for newborn babies, representing the community's commitment to nourishing and supporting the child. The cultural significance of egusi extends beyond the dinner table. In many West African languages, there are proverbs and sayings that reference egusi, reflecting its importance in daily life. For example, there's a Yoruba saying that goes, "Obinrin to ni ob, to ni egusi, ko ni oko," which roughly translates to, "A woman who has stew and egusi, has no husband." This playful proverb suggests that a woman who's well stocked with cooking essentials like egusi is so self-sufficient that she doesn't need a husband. In recent years, there's been a growing movement to recognize and celebrate traditional African foods like egusi soup. Food historians and cultural preservationists are working to document the various regional preparations of egusi soup, seeing it as a way to preserve cultural heritage in the face of globalization. At the same time, egusi soup is evolving, adapting to new contexts and tastes. In the diaspora communities of Europe and North America, West African cooks are finding creative ways to recreate the flavors of home, sometimes substituting hard-to-find ingredients with local alternatives. This has led to fascinating fusion dishes. Imagine an egusi soup pizza or egusi seed pesto. From humble beginnings to cultural icon, the story of egusi soup is a testament to the ingenuity, resourcefulness, and culinary creativity of West African peoples. It's a dish that nourishes not just the body, but the soul, connecting people to their roots and to each other. So the next time you enjoy a bowl of egusi soup, remember, you're not just eating a meal, you're partaking in a rich cultural tradition that spans centuries and continents. Now that's food for thought. 3. Traditional ingredients, preparation methods, and regional variations. Now that we've explored the cultural significance of egusi soup, let's roll up our sleeves and dive into the kitchen. Prepare to have your taste buds tantalized as we explore the traditional ingredients, preparation methods, and the delightful regional variations that make egusi soup a culinary adventure. At its core, egusi soup is a celebration of simplicity and flavor. The star of the show, of course, is the egusi itself. These seeds, when ground, have a unique ability to thicken the soup and impart a rich, nutty flavor that's simply irresistible. But egusi is just the beginning. The supporting cast of ingredients is what gives each version of the soup its distinctive character. Let's start with the base. In most traditional recipes, the foundation of egusi soup is a flavorful blend of aromatics. Onions are almost always present, often accompanied by garlic and ginger. These are typically sautéed in palm oil, a distinctive red oil that's a staple in West African cooking. The palm oil doesn't just add flavor, it gives the soup its characteristic orange-red hue that's as much a feast for the eyes as it is for the palate. Next comes the heat. Egusi soup is typically spicy, with various types of peppers used depending on the region and personal preference. In Nigeria, Scotch bonnet peppers are a favorite, providing a fiery kick that'll wake up your taste buds. Some cooks blend the peppers with tomatoes to create a smooth base, while others prefer to chop them finely for a more textured soup. Now, here's where things get interesting: the addition of the egusi itself. As mentioned earlier, there are two main methods: the sprinkle method and the paste method. In the sprinkle method, ground egusi is added directly to the simmering soup base, where it forms little dumplings or cakes. In the paste method, the ground egusi is mixed with a little water to form a paste before being added to the soup, resulting in a creamier texture. But we're not done yet. The next layer of flavor comes from protein. Traditionally, egusi soup is not vegetarian. It typically includes some form of meat or fish. This could be beef, goat, chicken, or smoked fish, depending on availability and preference. In coastal areas, you might find versions with fresh fish or even seafood. The meat is usually cooked in the soup, infusing it with its flavors. Then come the greens. Leafy vegetables are an essential component of egusi soup, adding both nutrition and a pleasant bitterness that balances the richness of the egusi. The choice of greens varies widely by region. In Nigeria, bitter leaf is a popular choice, living up to its name with a distinctive bitter flavor that many find addictive. Pumpkin leaves, ugu, are another favorite, adding a mild, slightly sweet note. In other parts of West Africa, you might find spinach, kale, or even wild foraged greens. But wait, there's more. Many recipes include additional flavor enhancers. Dried crayfish is a common addition, providing a deep umami flavor. Locust beans, known as iru in Yoruba, are another traditional ingredient that adds a complex, fermented note to the soup. Now, let's talk about regional variations, because this is where egusi soup really shows its diversity. In southwestern Nigeria, Yoruba-style egusi soup often includes a generous amount of palm oil and might be flavored with traditional herbs like African basil. In the southeast, Igbo-style egusi soup tends to be thicker and might include a greater variety of meats. Cross the border into Ghana, and you'll find Nkuntumayir egusi soup, which is made with cocoyam leaves. In Cameroon, Ndole egusi combines the nutty flavor of egusi with bitter leaf and either beef or fish. There's even a version in Sierra Leone called places that combines egusi with an impressive array of greens. But the variations don't stop at ingredients. The preparation methods can differ too. In some regions, the egusi is roasted before being ground, intensifying its nutty flavor. In others, it's soaked overnight before being added to the soup. Some cooks swear by adding the egusi at the very end of cooking, while others let it simmer for hours to really meld the flavors. And let's not forget about the all-important accompaniments. Egusi soup is typically served with a starchy side dish, known collectively as swallow, because of the way they're eaten. This could be fufu, made from cassava, pounded yam, gari, also made from cassava, or rice. The idea is to take a small ball of the starch, make an indentation with your thumb, and use it to scoop up the soup. It's a hands-on eating experience that's as much about texture as it is about flavor. Now, if you're feeling adventurous and want to try making egusi soup at home, here's a pro tip. Don't be afraid to experiment. While traditional recipes are a great starting point, egusi soup is forgiving and adaptable. Can't find bitter leaf? Try kale or collard greens. No palm oil? Vegetable oil will do in a pinch, though you'll miss out on that distinctive flavor and color. The key is to embrace the spirit of egusi soup, a hearty, flavorful dish that makes the most of available ingredients. One fascinating aspect of egusi soup preparation that often surprises newcomers is the sheer amount of oil used. To the uninitiated, it might seem excessive, but there's a method to this seeming madness. The oil not only contributes to the rich mouthfeel of the soup but also helps to extract and distribute the flavors of the other ingredients. Plus, in cultures where manual labor is common and calorie-dense foods are prized, the high-fat content is a feature, not a bug. Here's another insider tip. The key to great egusi soup often lies in the order of operations. Many experienced cooks will tell you that adding the egusi too early can result in a grainy texture. Instead, they recommend letting the base of the soup simmer for a while to really develop the flavors before introducing the egusi. This allows the seeds to gently cook and thicken the soup without becoming tough or gritty. Now, let's talk about some of the more unusual regional variations that you might not find in your average cookbook. In parts of northern Nigeria, for instance, there's a version of egusi soup that includes baobab leaves. These leaves, known locally as kuka, add a sour note that cuts through the richness of the egusi beautifully. In some coastal areas of West Africa, you might come across egusi soup made with periwinkles, small sea snails that add a briny, oceanic flavor to the dish. It's a combination that might sound strange to Western palates, but it's absolutely delicious and speaks to the incredible diversity of ingredients used in West African cooking. There's even a version of egusi soup in parts of Benin that includes chunks of cheese. This fusion came about through contact with French culinary traditions and results in a unique flavor profile that bridges West African and European tastes. But perhaps one of the most intriguing variations comes from the Efik people of southeastern Nigeria. Their version, known as Edikong Ikong, combines egusi with a veritable garden of leafy greens, often including up to 4 different types of leaves. The result is a soup that's incredibly nutrient-dense and packed with complex flavors. It's also worth noting that while egusi soup is traditionally a savory dish, there are some modern interpretations that push it into unexpected territory. Some innovative chefs have experimented with sweet versions of egusi, using the ground seeds as a base for dessert soups or even ice cream. While purists might scoff, these creative adaptations show just how versatile egusi can be. As we wrap up our culinary tour, it's important to remember that egusi soup, in all its variations, is more than just a recipe. It's a living, evolving tradition. Each pot of egusi soup tells a story, of the person who cooked it, of the region it comes from, of the ingredients available, and of the occasion for which it was prepared. In many West African households, the recipe for egusi soup isn't written down. It's passed down orally from generation to generation, with each cook adding their own twist. This oral tradition means that egusi soup is constantly evolving, adapting to changing tastes and circumstances while still maintaining its essential character. So whether you prefer your egusi soup thick or thin, spicy or mild, meat-laden or vegetarian, there's a version out there for you. And if you can't find one that suits your taste, well, that's just an invitation to create your own variation and add your chapter to the ongoing story of this remarkable dish. In the end, the beauty of egusi soup lies not just in its flavor, but in its ability to bring people together. It's a dish that's meant to be shared, whether it's a family gathered around a steaming pot on a Sunday afternoon or friends catching up over bowls of soup at a local restaurant. In a world that often feels divided, there's something beautifully unifying about a dish that can be found, in one form or another, across an entire region of the world. So the next time you have the opportunity to try egusi soup, take a moment to appreciate the centuries of culinary wisdom and cultural exchange that have gone into that bowl. And who knows, you might just be inspired to start your own egusi soup tradition. After all, there's always room for one more variation in the wonderfully diverse world of egusi soup. 4. Nutritional benefits and health implications of egusi. Now that we've tantalized our taste buds with the flavors and variations of egusi soup, let's dig into something equally appetizing for the health-conscious among us, the nutritional powerhouse that is egusi. Buckle up, because we're about to embark on a journey that might just change the way you think about this humble seed. First things first, egusi is a nutritional heavyweight. These unassuming seeds pack a punch that would make any superfood green with envy. Let's break it down, shall we? Protein is the star of the show here. Egusi seeds are roughly 28% protein by weight, which is comparable to many nuts and seeds that are celebrated for their protein content. But it's not just the quantity of protein that's impressive, it's the quality. Egusi contains all 9 essential amino acids, making it a complete protein source. This is particularly significant in many West African diets where animal protein can be scarce or expensive. For vegetarians and vegans, egusi can be a valuable addition to ensure adequate protein intake. But wait, there's more. Egusi is also rich in healthy fats, particularly polyunsaturated fatty acids. These are the good fats that our bodies need for various functions, including brain health and hormone production. In fact, about 50% of the fat in egusi is linoleic acid, an omega-6 fatty acid that's essential for growth and development. Now, let's talk about micronutrients. Egusi is a veritable multivitamin in seed form. It's an excellent source of B vitamins, particularly thiamine, niacin, and folate. These play crucial roles in energy metabolism, nervous system function, and cell growth. Egusi also contains significant amounts of minerals like zinc, magnesium, and phosphorus. Zinc is essential for immune function and wound healing, magnesium supports muscle and nerve function, and phosphorus is crucial for bone health. But perhaps one of the most interesting nutritional aspects of egusi is its high content of antioxidants. Particularly vitamin E antioxidants help protect our cells from damage caused by free radicals, potentially reducing the risk of chronic diseases like heart disease and certain cancers. The vitamin E in egusi is particularly noteworthy because it's in a form that's highly bioavailable, meaning our bodies can easily absorb and use it. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Remember how we mentioned that egusi soup often includes leafy greens? Well, it turns out that this traditional combination is nutritionally synergistic. The high fat content of egusi helps our bodies absorb fat-soluble vitamins from the greens, like vitamins A and K. It's as if generations of West African cooks intuitively understood the concept of food synergy long before nutritional science caught up. But the health benefits of egusi go beyond just its nutritional content. There's growing scientific interest in the potential medicinal properties of egusi. Some studies have suggested that compounds in egusi seeds may have anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial properties. There's even preliminary research looking at the potential of egusi in managing diabetes and high cholesterol, although more studies are needed to confirm these effects. Now, before you start thinking egusi is some kind of miracle food, let's talk about some potential health considerations. Like many seeds, egusi is high in oxalates, compounds that can contribute to kidney stone formation in susceptible individuals. If you're prone to kidney stones, it's best to consume egusi in moderation and consult with a healthcare provider. Also, while the high fat content of egusi contributes to its nutritional value, it also makes it calorie-dense. A cup of ground egusi seeds contains about 800 calories. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. In many West African contexts where physical labor is common and food insecurity is a concern, these calories are valuable. But if you're watching your calorie intake, it's something to be aware of. There's also the question of aflatoxins, a type of toxin produced by certain molds that can grow on crops like egusi. Proper harvesting, drying, and storage practices are crucial to prevent aflatoxin contamination. This is one reason why it's important to source egusi from reputable suppliers. But perhaps one of the most fascinating aspects of egusi's health implications is its potential role in addressing global nutrition challenges. In a world grappling with issues of food security and sustainable agriculture, egusi presents some intriguing possibilities. For one, egusi is remarkably drought-resistant. It can grow in areas where other crops might fail, making it a potentially valuable crop in the face of climate change. Its high nutritional value, particularly its protein content, also makes it an attractive option for combating malnutrition in resource-poor areas. Moreover, the entire egusi plant is usable. While the seeds are the main attraction, the flesh of the fruit can be used as livestock feed, and the leaves are sometimes used in traditional medicine. This multi-purpose nature makes egusi an efficient crop from a resource utilization perspective. There's even growing interest in egusi as a potential industrial crop. The oil from egusi seeds can be used in cosmetics and as a cooking oil, while the protein-rich seed cake left after oil extraction could be used in animal feed or as a plant-based protein source for human consumption. But perhaps the most compelling health implication of Egusi is the way it challenges our notions of what constitutes a health food. In the West, we're often bombarded with messages about exotic superfoods from far-flung corners of the world. Yet here's Egusi, a nutritional powerhouse that's been a staple in West African diets for centuries, flying under the radar. This speaks to a broader issue in nutrition science and public health: the need to value and study traditional food systems. Egusi soup, with its combination of protein-rich seeds, healthy fats, and nutrient-dense greens, is a prime example of how traditional cuisines often intuitively combine ingredients in ways that maximize nutritional benefit. As we wrap up our nutritional deep dive, it's worth reflecting on how Egusi embodies the idea that food can be both delicious and nutritious. In many Western contexts, there's often a perceived trade-off between taste and health when it comes to food. Egusi soup turns this notion on its head, offering a dish that's both a culinary delight and a nutritional powerhouse. So the next time you enjoy a bowl of Egusi soup, know that you're not just treating your taste buds. You're nourishing your body in ways that modern nutritional science is only beginning to fully appreciate. It's a beautiful reminder that sometimes, the most profound nutritional wisdom comes not from a laboratory, but from centuries of culinary tradition. Now that's food for thought, and for health. 5. Social and ceremonial roles of Egusi soup in Nigerian and West African cultures. As we've journeyed through the cultivation, preparation, and nutritional aspects of Egusi, it's time to pull up a chair at the metaphorical West African table and explore the rich social and ceremonial roles that Egusi soup plays in Nigerian and broader West African cultures. Prepare to be amazed at how a simple soup can be so deeply woven into the fabric of society. In many West African cultures, particularly in Nigeria, Egusi soup is far more than just a meal. It's a social lubricant, a status symbol, and even a diplomatic tool. Let's start with its role in everyday life. In many Nigerian households, Egusi soup is a dish that brings the family together. Picture this: it's a Sunday afternoon, and the matriarch of the family has been in the kitchen for hours, stirring a pot of Egusi soup large enough to feed an army. The aroma wafts through the house, drawing family members from their rooms like a siren call. When the soup is finally ready, it's served in a large communal bowl, surrounded by balls of fufu or pounded yam. Everyone gathers around, using their right hand to take a small ball of the starchy side, make an indentation, and scoop up the rich, flavorful soup. This communal style of eating fosters conversation and connection. It's not uncommon for important family discussions to happen over a steaming bowl of Egusi soup. But the social significance of Egusi soup extends far beyond the family dinner table. In many Nigerian cultures, Egusi soup is a dish of honor, often served at important social gatherings and celebrations. Take weddings, for instance. In traditional Yoruba weddings, Egusi soup is often one of the main dishes served at the reception. Its presence on the menu is a sign of respect for the guests and a demonstration of the host's hospitality. The ability to prepare a good Egusi soup is often seen as a mark of a good wife and homemaker in many Nigerian cultures. There's even a saying in Yoruba that goes, "Obinrin to mo obaguzi se, ko niku ende oko," which roughly translates to, "A woman who knows how to cook Egusi soup will not lack a husband." While this saying might raise eyebrows in some circles today, it speaks to the cultural importance placed on this dish. Egusi soup also plays a fascinating role in Nigerian politics and diplomacy. In political circles, the phrase, stomach infrastructure, is often used to describe the practice of winning voters' support through food, and Egusi soup is often at the center of this practice. During election campaigns, it's not uncommon to see politicians hosting large feasts where Egusi soup is served in abundance. The underlying message is clear: I can provide for you, I understand your needs and tastes. But it's not just in politics that Egusi soup serves as a diplomatic tool. In many West African cultures, food is a way of showing respect and welcoming guests. When important visitors come, whether they're from another village or another country, serving them a well-prepared Egusi soup is a way of honoring them and making them feel at home. It's a culinary ambassador, if you will, representing the best of local cuisine and hospitality. Egusi soup also plays a significant role in various ceremonial contexts. In some Nigerian cultures, it's traditionally served during naming ceremonies for newborn babies. The rich, nutritious soup is seen as symbolic of the abundance and nourishment that the community wishes for the child. Similarly, during funeral ceremonies, egusi soup is often served as part of the feast to honor the deceased and provide sustenance for mourners. In traditional medicine and spiritual practices, egusi soup sometimes takes on an almost mystical significance. In some communities, it's believed that egusi soup has properties that can aid in fertility and childbirth. Pregnant women might be encouraged to eat egusi soup to ensure a healthy pregnancy and an easy delivery. While these beliefs may not be scientifically proven, they speak to the deep cultural significance attached to this dish. Egusi soup also features prominently in many West African folktales and proverbs, often used as a metaphor for life's complexities or as a symbol of abundance and satisfaction. For example, there's a Yoruba proverb that goes, "Oba guzi ki se oba siju," which means, egusi soup is never too much. This speaks to the idea that one can never have too much of a good thing, particularly when it comes to this beloved dish. In the broader context of West African cuisine, egusi soup serves as a point of both unity and diversity. While the basic concept of a soup made with ground melon seeds is found across the region, each culture has its own variation. These differences in preparation and ingredients become a source of friendly rivalry and cultural pride. You might hear good-natured debates about whose version of egusi soup is the best. Is it the Yoruba style with its liberal use of palm oil, or the Igbo version with its distinctive egusi cakes? But perhaps one of the most poignant roles that egusi soup plays is that of a cultural anchor for West African diaspora communities around the world. For many West Africans living abroad, egusi soup is a taste of home, a way to maintain a connection to their roots. In cities from London to New York to Johannesburg, you'll find West African restaurants serving egusi soup to homesick expatriates and curious locals alike. In these diaspora communities, the preparation and sharing of egusi soup often becomes a way of passing on cultural heritage to younger generations. Picture a grandmother teaching her grandchildren born in a foreign land how to prepare the perfect egusi soup, passing down not just a recipe, but a piece of their cultural identity. Egusi soup has even found its way into popular culture, featuring in literature, music, and film. Nigerian author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie mentions egusi soup in several of her novels, using it as a touchstone for Nigerian identity and a way to evoke the sensory experience of home. In the world of music, you might hear egusi soup mentioned in lyrics as a symbol of the good life or as a metaphor for something desirable. As we wrap up our exploration of the social and ceremonial roles of egusi soup, it's clear that this dish is so much more than just sustenance. It's a social connector, a cultural identifier, a symbol of abundance and hospitality. It's a dish that tells the story of West African ingenuity, adaptability, and joie de vivre. In a world that often feels increasingly disconnected, there's something beautiful about a dish that brings people together, that carries such deep cultural significance while also adapting to new contexts and tastes. Egusi soup reminds us of the power of food to nurture not just our bodies, but our relationships, our traditions, and our sense of identity. So the next time you sit down to a bowl of egusi soup, remember, you're not just enjoying a meal, you're participating in a rich cultural tradition that spans generations and continents. You're taking part in a ritual that has brought families together, sealed political alliances, welcomed strangers, and comforted those far from home. In that moment, you're connected to countless others who have found nourishment, comfort, and joy in this remarkable dish. Now that's something to savor. 6. Globalization and adaptations of egusi soup in diaspora communities. As we continue our flavorful journey, let's explore how egusi soup has traveled beyond the borders of West Africa, adapting and evolving as it finds new homes in diaspora communities around the world. This is a tale of culinary globalization, cultural preservation, and innovative fusion, a testament to the enduring appeal and adaptability of this beloved dish. The story of Egusi soup in the diaspora is intrinsically tied to the broader narrative of West African migration. As people from countries like Nigeria, Ghana, and Cameroon have moved to other parts of the world, whether for education, work, or to escape conflict, they've brought their culinary traditions with them. And at the heart of these traditions, often, is Egusi soup. Let's start our global tour in the United Kingdom, home to one of the largest Nigerian diaspora communities in the world. In cities like London, Manchester, and Birmingham, you'll find bustling African markets where Egusi seeds are sold alongside other staples of West African cuisine. These markets have become cultural hubs, places where the diaspora community can reconnect with the tastes of home. But here's where it gets interesting. In the UK, Egusi soup has had to adapt to local availability of ingredients. For instance, the bitter leaf that's commonly used in Nigeria might be replaced with kale or spinach. The palm oil, crucial for that authentic flavor, might be used more sparingly due to different dietary preferences or health concerns in the new environment. Crossing the Atlantic to the United States, we find another fascinating chapter in the globalization of Egusi soup. In cities with significant West African populations like Houston, Atlanta, and New York, Egusi soup has found its way onto the menus of African restaurants and into the homes of the diaspora community. But it's not just being enjoyed by West Africans, it's increasingly being discovered by food enthusiasts eager to explore global cuisines. This exposure to a wider audience has led to some interesting adaptations. For example, some chefs in the US have experimented with using pumpkin seeds as a substitute for egusi when the real thing is hard to find. While purists might scoff, this adaptation has allowed the essence of the dish to be shared with a broader audience. In Canada, particularly in cities like Toronto with its diverse population, Egusi soup has become part of the multicultural culinary landscape. Here, you might find Egusi soup served alongside dishes from other cultures at food festivals, introducing the flavors of West Africa to people from all walks of life. But it's not just in Western countries that Egusi soup has found new homes. In South Africa, which has seen significant immigration from other parts of Africa, Egusi soup has become part of the culinary mosaic in cities like Johannesburg. Here, it might be served in restaurants alongside local South African dishes, creating fascinating culinary fusions. One of the most interesting aspects of Egusi soup's global journey is how it's being adapted by second and third generation members of the diaspora. These individuals, often born and raised outside of West Africa, are putting their own spin on the traditional recipe. Imagine an Egusi soup made with quinoa instead of fufu, or a vegan version that uses plant-based proteins instead of meat. These adaptations might make traditionalists raise an eyebrow, but they're a vibrant example of how cuisine evolves as cultures intermingle. In some cases, Egusi soup has even influenced local cuisines in its new homes. In parts of the Caribbean with significant West African heritage, you might find dishes that echo the flavors and techniques of Egusi soup, adapted to local ingredients. It's a beautiful reminder of the historical connections between West Africa and the Caribbean, played out on the plate. The internet and social media have played a crucial role in the global spread of Egusi soup. Food bloggers and YouTubers from the diaspora community have shared their recipes and techniques, allowing people all over the world to try their hand at making this dish. These online resources have become a lifeline for those in the diaspora trying to recreate the tastes of home, and a window into West African culture for curious food lovers everywhere. But the globalization of Egusi soup hasn't been without its challenges. In many places, finding the necessary ingredients can be difficult. Egusi seeds, bitter leaf, and palm oil aren't exactly staples in most Western supermarkets. This scarcity has led to the rise of specialized African grocery stores in many cities with significant diaspora populations. These stores have become important community hubs, places where people can not only find the ingredients they need but also connect with others from their home countries. There's also the challenge of explaining Egusi soup to those unfamiliar with West African cuisine. The concept of a soup thickened with ground seeds, often eaten with a starchy ball of fufu, can be foreign to many. This has led to some creative marketing efforts in restaurants and food stores, often emphasizing the nutritional benefits of egusi or drawing parallels to more familiar dishes. One particularly interesting development in the global journey of egusi soup is its gradual entry into the world of high-end cuisine. In cities like London and New York, some innovative chefs are incorporating egusi into fine dining menus. You might find a deconstructed egusi soup as an amuse-bouche in a Michelin-starred restaurant, or egusi-crusted fish as a main course. These interpretations, while far removed from the traditional preparation, are introducing the flavors of egusi to new audiences and challenging perceptions of African cuisine. The globalization of egusi soup has also had an impact back in West Africa. As members of the diaspora return home for visits or to settle permanently, they bring with them new ideas and techniques picked up abroad. This culinary cross-pollination is leading to exciting innovations in the homeland of egusi soup. But perhaps the most powerful aspect of egusi soup's global journey is its role in cultural preservation and identity. For many in the diaspora, preparing and sharing egusi soup is a way to maintain a connection to their heritage. It's a taste of home, a link to childhood memories, a tangible piece of culture that can be shared with friends and passed down to children who may have never set foot in West Africa. In this way, egusi soup becomes more than just a dish. It's a vehicle for cultural memory and continuity. Each pot of egusi soup prepared in a kitchen thousands of miles from West Africa is an act of cultural preservation, a defiance against the forces of assimilation that often pressure immigrant communities to abandon their traditional practices. As we conclude our tour of egusi soup's global adventure, it's clear that this humble dish has become a culinary ambassador for West African culture. From the bustling streets of London to the diverse neighborhoods of Toronto, from high-end restaurants in New York to home kitchens in Johannesburg, egusi soup is introducing the world to the flavors and culinary traditions of West Africa. In doing so, it's challenging stereotypes about African cuisine, bridging cultural divides, and providing comfort and connection for diaspora communities around the world. The story of egusi soup's globalization is a testament to the power of food to transcend borders, preserve culture, and bring people together. It's a reminder that in our increasingly interconnected world, a simple bowl of soup can tell a story of migration, adaptation, and the enduring bonds of cultural identity. Now that's some food for thought. 7. Sustainability and economic impacts of egusi seed production. As we've journeyed through the cultural significance and global spread of egusi soup, it's time to zoom out and consider the bigger picture. Let's dive into the fascinating world of egusi seed production, exploring its sustainability practices and the far-reaching economic impacts that ripple through communities and even national economies. Prepare to be surprised by the outsized role this humble seed plays in the grand scheme of things. First, let's talk sustainability. In an era where sustainable agriculture is becoming increasingly crucial, egusi cultivation stands out as a beacon of eco-friendly farming practices. One of the most remarkable aspects of egusi production is its resilience. These plants are incredibly hardy, capable of thriving in conditions that would make other crops wilt. They're drought-resistant and can grow in poor soil, making them an ideal crop for regions facing the challenges of climate change. But it's not just about resilience. Egusi cultivation is also inherently sustainable in many traditional farming systems. In many West African countries, egusi is often grown as part of an intercropping system. Picture a field where egusi vines snake between rows of yams or cassava, or where they're planted alongside maize. This practice isn't just quaint tradition, it's cutting-edge sustainable agriculture. Intercropping with egusi has multiple benefits. The spreading vines act as a living mulch, helping to retain soil moisture and suppress weeds. This reduces the need for chemical herbicides and conserves water. The leaves of the egusi plant also provide ground cover, protecting the soil from erosion during heavy rains. When the plants die back, they contribute organic matter to the soil, improving its fertility for future crops. But here's where it gets really interesting from a sustainability perspective. Egusi plants are incredibly efficient at using resources. They require minimal inputs in terms of fertilizers or pesticides, especially when grown in traditional systems. This low-input nature makes egusi an environmentally friendly crop option, with a much smaller carbon footprint compared to many other commercial crops. Now, let's talk about the economic impacts, because this is where things get really exciting. Egusi seed production is not just a dietary staple, it's a significant economic driver in many West African communities. In Nigeria alone, the Egusi market is estimated to be worth millions of dollars annually. That's no small change. At the grassroots level, Egusi cultivation provides a valuable source of income for smallholder farmers, many of whom are women. The beauty of Egusi as a cash crop is its versatility. Farmers can choose to sell the seeds fresh, dried, or processed, depending on market demand and their own capabilities. This flexibility allows farmers to maximize their profits and adapt to changing market conditions. But the economic impact of Egusi doesn't stop at the farm gate. There's an entire value chain built around Egusi production, processing, and distribution. Let's take a journey along this chain. It starts with the input suppliers who provide seeds and basic farming tools. Then there are the farmers themselves, tending their crops with generations of accumulated knowledge. Once harvested, the Egusi fruits need to be processed. This is often done by local women's cooperatives who extract and clean the seeds. These seeds then need to be transported to markets, creating jobs for drivers and middlemen. At the markets, you'll find vendors specializing in Egusi seeds, often women who have built their livelihoods around this trade. Some of these seeds will be bought by local consumers, while others might be purchased by wholesalers for distribution to urban areas or even for export. And let's not forget the value addition. There are small-scale industries that process Egusi into oil or flour, creating even more economic opportunities. This extensive value chain means that Egusi production has a significant multiplier effect on local economies. Money from Egusi sales circulates within communities, supporting a wide range of livelihoods beyond just the farmers. It's a beautiful example of how a single crop can form the backbone of a complex and resilient local economy. But the economic impact of Egusi goes beyond just local communities. In some West African countries, Egusi has become an important export crop. Nigeria, for instance, exports Egusi seeds to other African countries and to diaspora communities around the world. While it may not rival oil or cocoa in terms of export value, Egusi exports provide a valuable source of foreign exchange and contribute to agricultural diversification efforts. The rising global interest in plant-based proteins and superfoods presents an exciting opportunity for Egusi on the international stage. As more people around the world discover the nutritional benefits of Egusi, there's potential for it to become a significant export commodity. This could provide a major economic boost to Egusi-producing countries, much like quinoa has done for some South American nations. However, it's important to note that the economic success of Egusi also presents some challenges. As demand grows, there's a risk of unsustainable intensification of production. Some farmers, eager to cash in on the Egusi boom, might be tempted to abandon traditional intercropping systems in favor of monoculture cultivation. This could lead to soil degradation and increased vulnerability to pests and diseases. There's also the question of equity in the Egusi value chain. While Egusi production provides opportunities for many, there are concerns about whether the benefits are distributed fairly. Women, who often play a crucial role in Egusi cultivation and processing, may not always receive a fair share of the profits. Addressing these issues of equity and sustainability will be crucial for ensuring that the economic benefits of Egusi production are long-lasting and widely shared. Another interesting economic aspect of Egusi production is its role in food security. In many West African countries, Egusi serves as a form of edible savings account. Farmers can store dried Egusi seeds for long periods, selling them when cash is needed or when prices are favorable. This provides a buffer against economic shocks and helps smooth out income fluctuations, a crucial consideration in regions where access to formal banking services may be limited. Looking to the future, there's growing interest in the potential of Egusi as an industrial crop. The oil from Egusi seeds, rich in healthy fatty acids, could be used in the cosmetics industry or as a high-quality cooking oil. The protein-rich seed cake left after oil extraction could be used in animal feed or processed into plant-based protein products for human consumption. These industrial applications could open up new economic opportunities and provide added value to Egusi production. There's also exciting potential in the realm of agro-tourism. As interest in traditional foods and sustainable agriculture grows, some visionary farmers are beginning to offer tours of their Egusi farms. Visitors can learn about traditional cultivation methods, participate in harvesting, and even try their hand at processing the seeds. This not only provides an additional income stream for farmers but also helps to preserve and share traditional agricultural knowledge. As we wrap up our exploration of the sustainability and economic impacts of Egusi production, it's clear that this humble seed punches well above its weight. From providing livelihoods for smallholder farmers to driving local economic development, from offering a model of sustainable agriculture to presenting opportunities for value-added processing and export, Egusi is truly a powerhouse crop. The story of Egusi is a reminder of the often overlooked potential of indigenous crops. In a world grappling with the challenges of climate change, food security, and sustainable development, crops like Egusi offer valuable lessons and opportunities. They show us that sometimes, the most powerful solutions are the ones that have been right under our noses, or in this case, growing in our fields, all along. So the next time you enjoy a bowl of Egusi soup, take a moment to appreciate not just its flavor, but the complex web of sustainability practices and economic activities that brought it to your table. In that simple bowl of soup, you're tasting the fruits of generations of agricultural wisdom, the labor of countless hands along the value chain, and the potential for a more sustainable and equitable food system. Now that's some food for thought, and for a better future. 8. Culinary innovations and fusion dishes incorporating Egusi. As we near the end of our flavorful journey through the world of Egusi, let's explore one of the most exciting frontiers, culinary innovation. Egusi, with its rich, nutty flavor and unique texture, has become a playground for creative chefs and home cooks alike. From high-end restaurants to home kitchens, people are finding new and exciting ways to incorporate this West African staple into a wide array of dishes. So, let's dive into the world of Egusi fusion and see just how versatile this humble seed can be. First, let's talk about how Egusi is making its way into fine dining. In cities like London, New York, and Lagos, innovative chefs are incorporating Egusi into haute cuisine. Imagine a delicate amuse-bouche of Egusi mousse, light as air but packed with flavor. Or picture a main course of pan-seared sea bass with an Egusi crust, bringing together the best of land and sea. These dishes are not just about flavor, they're challenging perceptions of African cuisine and introducing Egusi to a whole new audience. But it's not just in high-end restaurants that Egusi is finding new expressions. Home cooks and food bloggers are getting creative too. One trend that's gaining traction is the Egusi pesto. By blending ground Egusi seeds with fresh herbs, garlic, and olive oil, cooks are creating a West African twist on the Italian classic. This Egusi pesto can be tossed with pasta, used as a spread on sandwiches, or even as a dip for vegetables. It's a beautiful example of cross-cultural fusion that respects both culinary traditions. Another exciting innovation is the use of Egusi in baking. Adventurous bakers are incorporating ground Egusi into bread doughs, creating loaves with a subtle nutty flavor and a protein boost. Some are even using Egusi as a base for gluten-free baking, catering to those with dietary restrictions while introducing them to new flavors. In the world of plant-based eating, Egusi is finding a new role as a meat substitute. Its high protein content and ability to absorb flavors make it an excellent base for vegetarian and vegan dishes. Imagine Egusi meatballs, seasoned with herbs and spices, or an Egusi burger that rivals any veggie patty in taste and nutrition. These innovations are not just delicious, they're opening up new possibilities for sustainable and ethical eating. But perhaps one of the most intriguing trends in Egusi innovation is its use in desserts. Yes, you read that right, desserts. Creative pastry chefs are experimenting with Egusi in sweet applications, with some truly mouth-watering results. Picture an Egusi praline, where the nutty seeds are caramelized and used as a crunchy topping for ice cream or incorporated into chocolate truffles. Or imagine an Egusi cheesecake, where the ground seeds are mixed into the batter, adding a unique flavor and texture to this classic dessert. These sweet innovations are pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible with Egusi, challenging our taste buds and our imaginations. One particularly fascinating fusion is the incorporation of Egusi into East Asian cuisine. In cities with large West African and Asian populations, creative cooks are bringing these culinary traditions together. Imagine an Egusi dumpling, where the ground seeds are mixed with vegetables and spices, then wrapped in a delicate dough and steamed. Or picture a bowl of ramen, but instead of a miso or tonkatsu base, the broth is rich with the flavors of Egusi and palm oil. These fusions aren't just novelties, they're creating entirely new flavor profiles that bridge continents and cultures. In the world of beverages, Egusi is making surprising appearances too. Some innovative mixologists are using Egusi to create unique cocktails. Picture an Egusi martini, where the nutty flavor of the seeds complements the botanicals in gin. Or imagine a non-alcoholic Egusi smoothie, blending the protein-rich seeds with fruits for a nutritious and delicious drink. These beverages are not just tasty, they're conversation starters, introducing people to Egusi in an unexpected form. But innovation isn't just about creating new dishes, it's also about reimagining traditional ones. In Nigeria and other West African countries, young chefs are putting modern twists on classic Egusi preparations. You might find an Egusi foam as a garnish on a deconstructed soup, or Egusi croquettes as a playful appetizer that riffs on the traditional soup. These dishes honor the culinary heritage of Egusi while pushing it into new territories. One particularly exciting area of innovation is in the world of snack foods. Enterprising food manufacturers are creating Egusi chips, thin, crispy wafers made from ground Egusi seeds and seasoned with spices. These chips are not just tasty, they're a nutrient-dense alternative to traditional potato chips, packing a protein punch that most snack foods can't match. In the world of spreads and condiments, Egusi is finding new expressions too. Some creative cooks are making Egusi butter, a spread similar to peanut butter but with the unique flavor of Egusi. This can be used on toast, in sandwiches, or as a base for sauces. Others are creating Egusi salsa, combining the ground seeds with tomatoes, onions, and peppers for a West African twist on the Mexican favorite. But perhaps one of the most impactful innovations is in the realm of nutrition bars and supplements. With its high protein content and impressive nutritional profile, Egusi is being incorporated into health foods aimed at athletes and fitness enthusiasts. Imagine an Egusi energy bar that provides sustained energy for long workouts, or an Egusi protein powder that can be mixed into smoothies or baked goods. These products are not just expanding the reach of Egusi, they're positioning it as a superfood for the health-conscious consumer. In the world of fermentation, some adventurous food scientists are experimenting with Egusi. There's talk of an Egusi miso, a fermented paste made from Egusi seeds that could be used as a seasoning or soup base. While still in the experimental stages, this could open up entirely new flavor possibilities and nutritional benefits. Even in the world of molecular gastronomy, Egusi is making an appearance. Some avant-garde chefs are using techniques like spherification to create Egusi caviar, tiny spheres that burst with Egusi flavor when eaten. Others are using Egusi to create edible soil that adds texture and flavor to modernist plating designs. But innovation isn't just happening in professional kitchens and food labs. Home cooks are getting creative too, often out of necessity. In diaspora communities where traditional ingredients might be hard to find, people are adapting Egusi recipes to use locally available ingredients. This might mean using pumpkin seeds instead of Egusi, or incorporating Egusi into familiar local dishes. These adaptations are creating a new kind of fusion cuisine, born out of the immigrant experience. As we look to the future, the possibilities for Egusi innovation seem endless. With growing interest in plant-based proteins, African cuisines, and sustainable eating, Egusi is perfectly positioned to become a global food trend. We might see Egusi milk as a new plant-based milk alternative, or Egusi flour becoming a staple in gluten-free baking. We could see Egusi-based meat alternatives hitting supermarket shelves, or Egusi oil becoming the next ingredient in natural skincare. But as exciting as these innovations are, it's important to remember the cultural roots of Egusi. As it finds new expressions in global cuisine, there's a responsibility to honor its origins and the communities that have cultivated and cooked with it for generations. The most successful innovations will be those that respect this heritage while pushing the boundaries of what's possible. As we wrap up our exploration of culinary innovations with Egusi, it's clear that this humble seed is on the cusp of a global culinary revolution. From fine dining restaurants to home kitchens, from snack foods to superfoods, Egusi is proving its versatility and appeal. These innovations are not just expanding the culinary possibilities of Egusi, they're creating new economic opportunities, challenging culinary norms, and bringing the flavors of West Africa to a global audience. So the next time you encounter an innovative Egusi dish, whether it's an Egusi sushi roll or an Egusi crusted steak, take a moment to appreciate the journey this ingredient has made. From a simple soup ingredient to a global culinary star, Egusi is a testament to the power of food to adapt, evolve, and bring people together. Who knows? The next great Egusi innovation might just come from your kitchen. Now that's something to chew on and experiment with. As we come to the end of our flavorful journey through the world of Egusi, it's clear that this humble seed is far more than just an ingredient in a beloved West African soup. From its sustainable cultivation practices to its economic impact, from its nutritional benefits to its role in cultural preservation, and from its global spread to its culinary innovations, Egusi tells a story that's as complex and rich as its flavor. The story of Egusi is, in many ways, a microcosm of larger trends in our global food system. It highlights the importance of indigenous crops in ensuring food security and biodiversity. It demonstrates how traditional agricultural practices often hold the key to sustainable farming. And it shows how food can be a powerful vehicle for cultural exchange and preservation, especially in diaspora communities. Moreover, the journey of Egusi from a regional staple to a global ingredient reflects broader shifts in our culinary landscape. As consumers become more adventurous and health-conscious, there's growing interest in diverse, plant-based foods from around the world. Egusi, with its unique flavor and impressive nutritional profile, is well-positioned to ride this wave of culinary globalization. But perhaps the most powerful lesson from our exploration of Egusi is the reminder of the deep connections between food, culture, and identity. Whether it's a traditional bowl of Egusi soup shared at a family gathering in Nigeria, or an innovative Egusi dish served in a high-end restaurant in New York, Egusi carries with it a piece of West African heritage. It's a tangible link to history, tradition, and home for many in the African diaspora. As we look to the future, the story of Egusi offers both opportunities and challenges. There's exciting potential for Egusi to become a global superfood, potentially bringing economic benefits to West African farmers. But with this potential comes the responsibility to ensure that the benefits are shared equitably and that the cultural significance of Egusi is respected. For those of us who aren't from West Africa, exploring Egusi offers an opportunity to broaden our culinary horizons and deepen our understanding of another culture. It's a chance to appreciate the ingenuity and wisdom embedded in traditional foodways, and to recognize the contributions of African cuisine to global gastronomy. So, whether you're a longtime Egusi enthusiast or you're hearing about it for the first time, I encourage you to seek out this remarkable ingredient. Try a traditional Egusi soup, or experiment with incorporating Egusi into your own cooking. Share your experiences, ask questions, and engage in dialogue about food, culture, and sustainability. Remember, every meal is an opportunity to nourish not just our bodies, but our understanding of the world. By exploring diverse foods like Egusi, we can cultivate greater cultural awareness, support sustainable food systems, and participate in the ongoing evolution of global cuisine. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the world of Egusi. I hope it's inspired you to look at your food with fresh eyes, to appreciate the stories behind the ingredients on your plate, and perhaps to embark on some culinary adventures of your own. After all, the next chapter in the story of Egusi could be written in your very own kitchen. If you've enjoyed this exploration of Egusi, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What other foods would you like us to explore in future videos? Your input helps us create content that's relevant and interesting to you. Until next time, happy eating, and remember, every meal is an opportunity to explore, learn, and connect with our shared human experience. Bon appétit!